Is June 24. Ukraine Media Center continues its operation. My name is Svetlana Cheparenko, and now we will discuss this year's National Multidisciplinary Test, the problems identified by the graduates and their parents, and the lessons we are probably going to learn for the future. And joining us in the studio is Tetiana Vakulenko, Director of the Ukrainian Center for Educational Quality Assessment, National Coordinator of the PISA study in Ukraine. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. So the testing had taken place this year. I know that you cannot talk about some detailed results, but how about some preliminary summary? Yes, the testing is not yet over. There will be a period of additional evaluation session. Currently, only the main session evaluation has taken place. What we can emphasize that first of all, we were able to conduct the first session under quite difficult conditions, just like previous years. We have very diverse results. We have very successful results, and in fact, we see that the registration parameters are no different compared to the previous year, and we will be able to discuss the results in detail when we process all of them. Currently, the applicants, if they pass the evaluation until the 5th of June, they will be getting their score, and next week all the rest will be getting their score. But basically everyone who were evaluated within the framework of the main session. So we would like to focus on the issues that both of the students and their parents were emphasizing. That was a morning after a massive strike on Ukraine. The parents were saying the children were stressed, they had a lack of sleep, they were tired. So was there any option to postpone the testing session? Well, we have to emphasize that the testing is taking place for all of the territory of Ukraine, and if for Kyiv such shelling is taking place, say, once in 2 weeks or once per week in the east of Ukraine, in the frontline areas, such shellings are an everyday reality. We cannot postpone all of the days of evaluation, and I'm not sure the applicants would want it because the situation is uncertain and the future is difficult. But those applicants who passed the evaluation within the main session because of the shelling, they will be able to get evaluated during the additional session. This is exactly why it's designed for. And when it comes to postponement, again, the significant part of the applicants wouldn't like the sessions to be postponed. So to postpone any sessions given all of the conditions is hardly realistic and is hardly a right thing to do. But is such scenario real? For example, due to a number of reasons that emerged during the night of the shelling, the applicant or their parents, they make a decision to postpone the evaluation. Well, yeah, right. In the lives of everybody, there are cases where we cannot evaluate the high stakes in other people's lives. It may be an illness, a bad feeling that may influence the process of evaluation. It may be a case of a tragic story that might have happened to any of the loved ones. All of such situations are envisaged under the main session and are serving as a reason for being evaluated within the framework of additional sessions. The applicants have to submit relevant documents to the evaluation center and they will be admitted to the additional session. Well, mathematics, that parents are saying that if their children want to learn some humanitarian professions, they don't need mathematics, and it only deteriorates the whole picture, and they have to go abroad to enter other educational institutions.
Well, this is a kind of a surprising story that the concept of the higher education is means that a person is ready to continue its education further. So if a person says during this that this is interesting to them, and this is not, then this does not really correlate to the general concept of the higher education. So if we're talking about the factors that are influencing the resulting grade of the testing, so there is a certain coefficient that is applied to these grades, depending on the subject of the graduate of the subject that is chosen by the graduate as his primary. So. In the example of maths, it is minimal, this coefficient. So in this year's math tests, the tasks that are given are not that difficult, and they cover 5th, 6th, and 7th grades. So if a graduate is not capable to find solution to these problems that are fairly simple, relatively simple, then it means that they are not really ready to continue their path in this field. If we're talking about maths, for example, there are alternatives that are suggested for different skills. There is a story I heard that a British person, and an American person didn't pass this test that we are giving our children. This is a beautiful story, and it's kind of a test for the critical thinking of the people who are reading information like this, because it is interesting. It is quite interesting how exactly these people did pass these tests. What I read is that they've finished in 12 minutes. However, if we're talking about the Ukrainian language, there is a huge, in terms of time period, there is a huge task of reading, comprehension, retelling, and so on and so on. There is 500 words and more. And in 15 minutes is quite difficult to accomplish anything in these kinds of tests. So if we are talking about reading comprehension, it's one of the most difficult tasks that we have during this testing. What we are testing children for, this is the ability to understand the text, to retell the text, to reiterate the things that are given in the text. And that is why this story is kind of beautiful. However, the only thing that was achieved by this story is just an advertisement of this testing all over Ukraine, and not only Ukraine. And this is quite fortunate for us because such pieces of news make and beautiful pictures to boot on top there is also interesting pictures that were attached to this piece of news, which did not correspond to what the article was actually saying. So this combination, this clickbait title plus fantastical conclusions, provide a possibility to boost their YouTube channel a lot. So this is probably what was happening. Can you provide us some details on how the general situation in terms of war, how it influences the testing? Well, it is very difficult, of course, and there is always something that needs to be decided or resolved right before this session of testing. For example, during air raids, we need to continuously relocate to find shelters, and as you may know, sometimes there is not enough shelters around, and then there is destruction of critical infrastructural objects. This same goes for internet. We had to postpone, we had to reschedule, reassign these testing locations or time, and so on and so on. So this is understandable that in different countries there is its own specifics. For example, some students in a foreign country couldn't find location to pass the exams. However, it is quite easy to find a new place. But when it comes to our situation, there are people that sometimes are coming to Ukraine specifically to pass, this test, and there are also people that cannot move around too much because of the different conditions. For example, in Kherson region, in the south of Ukraine, there is people who continue living in very difficult conditions in terms of war, and we had to visit those far away locations. There are critics that are telling that the approach to the way that the testing is conducted has to be changed. What do you think about it? Yes, any model is not perfect. There are no perfect models, so all models are bad, but some models could be useful, as the saying goes. So we do accept, we do listen to critics, we do listen to people, what they have to say about it, and we are ready to change some things during the testing, its complexity or other qualities. However, or for example, when a lot of people start complaining about this or that, for example, a long periods of time that are needed to resolve or to solve some of the problems, maybe too long or too short. So we, in cases like this, we have to seriously contemplate this in terms of how these testing will be conducted in for example, Kherson region or any other South Ukrainian region, especially in the conditions of constant bombings and attacks from the enemy. So, taking this into account, we have to decide if a graduate has this possibility to kind of shorten the term during which they are passing this testing. Like, for example, instead of 4 days, maybe 3 days, because this will minimize their exposure to the threats of the war situation. And we have to decide, make such decisions based on taking into account all the opinions of the graduates, of the people that are aiming to pass this testing, this exam. Thank you, dear colleagues. If there are any questions.
Good afternoon, Andrei Panchenko, Asvitaye, Tetiana. Every once in a while, online, there were some tasks popping up as if related to this year's testing. What kind of tasks were they? How did those exercises online, how did they impact the further sessions of NMT? And if there was any impact like this, what does the center want to do with these kinds of exercises? Yes, we're taking away the notes of the applicants, of the participants, so they cannot share them, but it doesn't always work. We see some of the participants who are taking a lot of notes and try to hide them when it comes to the tests on history of Ukraine, for example, where the tasks are complex, where usually the tasks contain a lot of text materials or maps. Those copies from the notes usually result in phenomena when we don't even recognize our works online, because they are tangential to what could be read on the screen of an evaluated person, and we have to work a lot to understand what the author wanted to say by that. So how does it impact the process, first of all, and how to cope with this? First of all, we remove the notes. We don't publish all of the options of the test, because in this model of NMT, we have to develop more than 20 test collections on on every discipline. That's a huge amount that takes months of work to be covered, and every task for us is valuable because we want to use it again and again. That's why we don't publish all of the exercise sets. Well, it hardly impacts this year's process because the forms of the tests within one evaluation session, within 1 year of evaluation, are unique. So it never happens that test collections would be repeated or test sets would be repeated. In the test, we use about 20% of the last year's tests, and this tool allows us, first of all, to verify that the tests are similar in terms of their complexity. And secondly, in this way, we support those applicants who are preparing to evaluation. They solve the previous year's tasks, and they take additional effort to prepare to the test. And if they see similar tasks during the previous years, it's clear that they have bigger chances of getting better scores. So what are we going to do in the future? We're going to remove the drafts. We are going to have better results in terms of digital leaks. The applicants were not bringing their phones, they couldn't make screenshots or they couldn't make pictures of the tasks. Only during the initial session some of the applicants were able to do so, and their results were rescinded. And we continue explaining it to the applicants that it doesn't make any use to copy those materials, and the materials that are designed for training and preparation are abandoned one way or another. And do we have any more questions on the floor? If we don't, then I would like to thank you, Ms. Tetiana. Let me remind you that we were discussing the first results, the first challenges, the first scandals when it comes to this year's NMT 2025, and Ukraine Media Center will continue shortly. Keep track of our announcements. Thank you for staying tuned.